Hello dear brothers and sisters, thank you for clicking on this video. The message I want to share with you today is the one that will save a lot of people from what is coming. The end is almost here, and this message is a warning to everyone to prepare and be ready before it happens. This is a message of a sister who died and encountered heaven. What she was told is what I'm going to be sharing with you today. In her words, she said, "Please, Daily Renewal, help me share this message to everyone who would want to listen and is very urgent. Before I share her experience with you, please kindly let us know where you are listening from. That way we can get to connect with each other. Also, if you have any prayer request or you have any near-death experience you would want us to share to the world, kindly leave it in the comment. We will pick it from there and we will continue to commit you in the hands of the Lord. Now relax and listen to this testimony." Hello, Daily Renewal. My name is Vesper Keita and I'm 23 years old. I live in the capital of Burkina Faso in West Africa. I work at a small internet cafe near the Grand Marché. People come in to check their email, students do research, and sometimes travelers stop by to video call their families back home. It's simple work, but it pays enough for rent and food. This is a testimony of how I died and saw the coming deception coming to our world before Jesus returns. Before I share this experience, it will be good for you to know my life before the experience. I grew up going to church with my grandmother. She was the one who taught me about Jesus. She used to say that God had a plan for everyone even if we couldn't see it. She died when I was 19, and after that I kind of drifted. I still believed in God, I think, but I stopped praying much. I stopped reading the Bible. Life just got busy, you know? Work, friends, trying to figure out what I was supposed to do with my life. God felt far away, like something from my childhood that didn't quite fit into my adult world. It was a Thursday afternoon when everything changed. The cafe was almost empty. Just one university student in the corner typing away on a paper, and an older man checking his bank account. I was sitting behind the counter scrolling through my phone, half bored, half daydreaming about what I'd cook for dinner. The fan overhead was barely working, just pushing hot air around the room. I remember feeling tired. Not physically tired, but tired in my soul. Like I was going through the motions of life without really living. I'd been having these thoughts lately, questions that wouldn't leave me alone. What's the point of all this? Why does the world feel like it's falling apart? Why does everyone seem so angry and afraid? I looked out the window at the dusty street. A woman walked by carrying a basin of mangoes on her head. A group of children chased each other, laughing. Everything looked normal, but something felt off. It's hard to explain. It was like the air itself was holding its breath, waiting for something. Then it happened. One moment I was sitting there, and the next moment everything around me went completely silent. Not just quiet, silent. The sound of the fan stopped. The clicking of the student's keyboard stopped. Even the noise from the street outside disappeared. It was like someone had pressed mute on the entire world. I stood up, confused. The student in the corner was frozen, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. The old man hadn't moved. Even the dust particles in the sunlight streaming through the window had stopped moving. Everything was perfectly still. My heart started pounding. I tried to say something, but no sound came out of my mouth. Then I felt it, a pulling sensation, like something was drawing me upward. Not physically, but something deeper. My spirit, maybe. I don't know how else to describe it. The walls of the cafe began to fade. The yellow paint, the posters, the computers, everything started dissolving like smoke. And then I wasn't in the cafe anymore. I was standing in a place I'd never seen before. The ground beneath my feet was solid, but it looked like it was made of crystal or glass. It was completely clear and I could see through it into endless depths of light. Above me the sky wasn't blue, it was every color at once. Gold and silver and white all swirling together, but not in a chaotic way. It was ordered, beautiful, like someone had composed a symphony out of light. In front of me stood an enormous structure. It looked like a courtroom, but not like any courtroom on earth. The walls were made of something that looked like white marble, but they glowed from within. There were pillars reaching up so high I couldn't see where they ended. and in the center of the space was a throne. The throne was massive, carved from what looked like pure white stone, but it radiated light and authority. I couldn't look directly at it for long. It was too bright, too overwhelming. Around the throne were beings, angels, I realized. They didn't have wings like in paintings. They were tall, powerful, clothed in white, and their faces shone with light. They stood perfectly still, their attention focused on the throne. I wanted to run. I wanted to hide. I felt so small, so unworthy to be in this place. My hands were shaking. I thought about every sin I'd ever committed, every lie I'd told, every time I'd ignored God or pushed Him away. I didn't belong here. Then one of the angels turned and looked at me. He didn't speak with his mouth, but I heard him clearly in my mind, in my spirit. He told me not to be afraid. He said I had been brought here to see and to understand what was coming. The angel moved closer to me. He was taller than any human, maybe 8 or 9 feet, and his presence was overwhelming. But he wasn't harsh or frightening. He was calm, steady, like a soldier who had seen every battle and knew how every war would end. He told me that the world I lived in was entering its final season. He said that everything the prophets had written about was beginning to unfold. He showed me images, not on a screen but directly in my mind. I saw the world from above, spinning in darkness. I saw cities and nations and people going about their lives, unaware of what was approaching. He showed me leaders standing in grand buildings, shaking hands, signing documents. He revealed to me that a great deception was being prepared. A man would rise who would promise peace to the world. He would seem wise, compassionate, strong. He would bring solutions to problems that had troubled humanity for generations, and the world would love him. But the angel told me this man was not what he appeared to be. He showed me a vision of a temple in Jerusalem, rebuilt and gleaming. I saw this man standing in the temple, and at first people were celebrating. But then I saw his face change. His eyes went dark, and he declared himself to be God. The angel revealed to me that this was the one the scriptures called the Antichrist. He would deceive many, even some who called themselves believers. He would perform miracles and signs. He would bring false peace. And when people trusted him most, he would turn and bring destruction. I started crying. I don't know why. Maybe because it was too much to take in. Maybe because I felt the weight of how serious this was. The angel placed his hand on my shoulder, and immediately a sense of peace washed over me. Not a peace that made me forget what I'd seen, but a peace that reminded me God was still in control. He told me that even though dark days were coming, God's people didn't need to fear. He said the Lord had not abandoned the world. He was calling his people to wake up, to return to him, to stop living with one foot in the world and one foot in faith. He said the time for half-hearted Christianity was over. The angel showed me another vision. I saw people all over the world, in churches, in homes, on streets, suddenly looking up. Some were crying, some were on their knees, some had their hands raised. And I understood that the Holy Spirit was moving, calling people back to God before it was too late. Then the angel told me something that shook me to my core. He said that many people knew about prophecy. They could talk about the Antichrist, the tribulation, the end times. They could list the signs and quote the scriptures. But knowing those things wouldn't save anyone. He said the only thing that mattered was knowing Jesus, truly knowing him, not just knowing about him. He asked me a question that I felt in the deepest part of my soul. He said, "Does Jesus know you?" I couldn't answer. I thought about my life. I thought about how I drifted away from God after my grandmother died. I thought about how I'd been living, not doing anything terrible but not really living for Jesus either. I'd been going through the motions, treating faith like a childhood memory instead of a living relationship. The angel didn't condemn me. He just looked at me with something like sadness and hope mixed together. He told me that God was giving me and many others a chance to return. He said the door of mercy was still open, but it wouldn't stay open forever. He said there would come a moment when everything would change in an instant, and those who weren't ready would be left behind. Then I saw another vision, and this one was different. I saw Jesus, not as a baby in a manger or a teacher in robes, but as a king. He was riding on a white horse, and behind him were armies of angels dressed in white. His eyes were like fire, and on his head were many crowns. A sword came from his mouth, and his face shone brighter than the sun. I fell to my knees. I couldn't stand in his presence. Everything in me wanted to worship him. The angel told me that this was how Jesus would return, not quietly, not hidden, but in power and glory. Every eye would see him. Every knee would bow. And on that day there would be no more chances to choose, no more time to decide. He told me that the world was being prepared for the Antichrist, but God's people were being prepared for the return of the King. He said I needed to choose which side I was on. Not with words, but with my life. The courtroom around me began to fade. The angel stepped back, and the last thing he revealed to me was this: I was being sent back not just to live differently, but to tell others what I had seen. He said many people were asleep, distracted by the cares of life, unaware that time was running out. He said God was raising up voices all over the world to sound the alarm. Then everything went white. I gasped and found myself back in the cafe. The fan was turning again. The student was typing. The old man was clicking his mouse. The street sounds had returned. Everything was exactly as it had been, as if no time had passed at all. But I was different. My hands were still shaking. Tears were running down my face. I looked at the clock. Only a few seconds had passed. But in those seconds, my entire life had changed. I closed the cafe early that day. I told the customers we had a power issue and I needed to shut down. I walked home in a daze. My mind was racing. Part of me wondered if I'd imagined it all, if maybe the heat had gotten to me. But I knew I hadn't. What I'd seen was more real than anything I'd ever experienced. That night, I got on my knees in my small apartment and I prayed for the first time in years. Really prayed. I told Jesus I was sorry for drifting away. I told him I didn't want to just know about him anymore. I wanted to know him. I wanted to be ready. I asked him to forgive me, to change me, to use me. And I felt him there. I felt his presence in that room, warm and close and real. I felt loved in a way I'd never felt before. Not because of what I'd done, but just because I was his. In the days and weeks that followed, I started reading the Bible again. I started going back to church. I started praying every day. And I started telling people what I'd seen. Some thought I was crazy. Some didn't want to hear it. But some listened. Some asked questions. Some prayed with me. I don't know exactly when Jesus is coming back. I don't know exactly when these things will happen. But I know they're coming. I know the world is being prepared. I know the signs are all around us. And I know that the most important question any of us will ever answer is this: do we know Jesus, and does he know us? Dear brothers and sisters, if you are listening to this, I want you to know something. It doesn't matter where you are in life right now. It doesn't matter what you've done or how far you've drifted from God. It doesn't matter if you've been going to church your whole life or if you've never opened a Bible. What matters is what you do with this moment. God is calling you. He's calling all of us. The world is changing fast, and the things the Bible warned about are starting to happen. But God doesn't want you to be afraid. He wants you to come home. He wants you to know him, to trust him, to surrender your life to him completely. Don't wait. Don't put it off. Don't assume you have more time. Talk to Jesus today. Tell him you want to know him. Ask him to save you, to change you, to make you ready. He will answer. He's been waiting for you. The King is coming. Make sure you're ready to meet him. Thank you for listening to this message. I hope you have been blessed. Before you go, please kindly give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more of this content coming your way. Also, don't forget to let us know in the comment if you have any testimony to share with us. Until next time, remain blessed.